Hello and welcome to the Guardian Football Weekly. It's the World Cup 2026 daily pods on every match day, the football, the politics, and whether Barry will kill me for putting butter in the fridge. Today, the tears of Raúl Jiménez, his first ever World Cup goal, confirming a very easy win for host Mexico. South Africa gifted them the first, had a man sent off, then had another red card. You couldn't hope for a nicer start, and quite hard to gauge if Mexico are good or South Africa are not good. Czechia stuck it in the mixer to lead, but a great comeback from South Korea. We'll do a bit of England, look ahead to tomorrow's games, including the other hosts, the US and Canada, and then we'll discuss the Somalian referee refused entry, Iran's delayed and denied visas, the Iraqi striker held for questioning, and the price of tickets for the tournament. What did the panel think of Infantino's responses in his press conference yesterday? And then to the big stuff, me and Barry living together for 6 weeks. Who's done the cooking, who's done the cleaning, and who's bought 2 packets of ham and gone to the pub? Everyone just chill, just relax. It's today's Guardian Football Weekly World Cup Daily. Hi Pod fans, Max here, Barry's here too.
Hello.
Football Weekly is supported by O2, the only major network that lets everyone roam freely in the EU up to 25 gigabytes. Here's a question for you, Barry. Thinking about covering big games away from home, what is the most amazing place you've ever watched a game on a screen?
A chateau in Bordeaux, France.
Oh, hello.
Max. 2012. It's a bit of a celeb-studded wedding because he works in the business they call show. Someone had set up a screen nearby in an adjacent courtyard so that we could all watch Italy beat England on penalties.
Oh, the Pirlo penalty.
A great evening for me. I imagine the bride probably wasn't as impressed to see all her guests disappear.
I'm going to take you to my gap year, of course. In Magnetic Island off the east coast of Australia, 1998. Colombia 0, England 2, Anderton and Beckham. I don't remember huge amounts about it, but it was a beautiful night. There is a bit of football going on this summer with 2 home nations teams taking to the pitch. I'm thinking there are probably going to be loads of our listeners on their holidays wanting to watch matches while sunning themselves in the EU. This summer, O2, the only major network that lets everyone roam freely up to 25 gigabytes, is helping fans find the beautiful game in beautiful places, whether that's finding a unique bar or terrace to watch with the family or giving your friends a call to discuss last night's results. 25 gigabyte limit where allowance is 25 gigabytes or more. Bolt on required if exceeded. Terms apply. See o2.co.uk/roam fair use. On the panel today, Barry Glendenning, welcome.
Hello, Matt.
I've thrown you under the bus already, but that's how it should be. Barney, Ronay, welcome to LA.
Hi everyone, it's nice to be welcomed, thank you.
That's okay. Jeff Rueter, soccer correspondent for The Guardian, joins us. Hey Jeff.
Hi Max.
Debut on the pod, how are you feeling?
Good.
Good and ready. And over in Mexico, Jonathan Wilson. Hey Wilson.
How are you doing?
I'm very good, and you can tell from that Wilson is tired. It's late in Mexico. How are you, Wilson?
It's not late, it's 20 past 10. It's
Right.
just, it's late in the UK and I'm still at the UK time, and I woke up at 3:50 this morning. I woke up at 3:20 yesterday morning, and jet lag's not my friend.
No. Well, the hearts of the nation who aren't being paid to go to a football tournament bleed for you, Wilson. But we'll start with you because you were at the Azteca for the opening game, Mexico 2, South Africa 0. What did you make of it?
Great stadium. It really looks like the Azteca. I was worried that the renovation might have changed that, but it hasn't. So that was all great. Atmosphere was really good. I think there were some protests outside. So I saw some footage a journalist had shot on their phone of that. So it was nasty-ish without being too bad. I think it was a little bit smaller scale than it might have been. And then South Africa were terrible. It was really disappointing. That I saw quite a lot of them 2 years ago at the Cup of Nations. Saw the game when they went out to Cameroon this time round. And the criticism of them was they were a bit too technical, a bit too flimsy. And then this game, it's just like they thought, oh, we're not going to do any of that stuff. We're just going to sit in a back five. I can't find the last time we played a back five. We're going to be completely passive. We're not going to try and do anything we're good at. And we're just going to try and keep the margin of defeat down, which I guess they did. But it was a hugely unsatisfying performance from them, I thought.
Yeah. So, as I said in the intro, Wilson, hard to gauge how good Mexico are. But the Raúl Jiménez header is, I guess, the moment of that game. You know, his tears. It's a classic Jimenez goal, his first ever one in the World Cup. That was a beautiful moment, sort of a moment if you're waiting for a moment in this competition to go, okay, we like football and this is good.
Yeah, it was, and it was necessary because the sort of 10 minutes before that, there'd been not like huge amounts, but there'd been notable pockets of booing from Mexican fans. So even though they 1-0 up against 10 men, they clearly felt they should have been, well, as Aguirre said, they should have been 4-0 up. So, yeah, it was a slightly strange atmosphere. And so not just an emotional moment for him and a lovely moment for him, but actually I think quite a necessary moment in the game because Mexican fans were starting to get frustrated.
Jeff, I presume you've seen more of Mexico than most of us. What did you make of their showing?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with Wilson's take. It seemed more like South Africa just wasn't up for it. And you almost wonder if they were trying to return the favor after 2010 and the Shebalala moment and trying to give Mexico their own sort of kickoff for the tournament. Look, it's not really a vintage generation for Mexico. They haven't really produced, the next Andres Guardado, the next Carlos Vela, the next Chicharito. They're still trying to figure out what the path forward will be for their development. And the Liga MX is also obviously, done away with promotion and relegation. They're unrolling some of their old policies to not bring in players from outside the league, players who have developed. They've actually started to get the dual nationals who come up through MLS academies more often. When you look at Brian Gutierrez, who is in the lineup today, and then young Obed Vargas, who did not appear from the bench. So, I think that they looked more composed maybe than we saw throughout a lot of this cycle. It's another one of those where a nation doesn't have a qualification to sort of figure out their routines, their patterns, who they trust, and all these sorts of things. But I would imagine they'll take quite a bit of confidence from this performance, and they'll feel like they can really control their group that appears to be pretty wide open.
3 red cards, Barry. In 2018, Daniel Story writing, 2018 and 2022 World Cups combined, there were 3 straight red cards. We've just had 3 in the space of 43 minutes.
Yeah, there were only 4 in the whole of the Qatar World Cup. 4 red cards with 3 in this game. I thought they were fair enough, to be honest. The third one maybe was questionable. I don't think it was given for violent conduct, but for preventing a goal-scoring opportunity. It's possibly debatable. The ref was pretty quick to reach for his pocket on that one. I thought the Brazilian ref, with his headset, he looked like one of the Borg from the Star Trek Delta quadrant. Resistance is futile. But the third one was possibly questionable, but the other 2 were fine.
James says, do we like the new RoboRev headset? How long will the sellotape hold in the humidity of Mexico? Will FIFA sell fans live feed of players berating the refs? Chris, why have they got Lobot from The Empire Strikes Back to referee today? Who would be the best Star Wars character to appear at this World Cup? Yes, what did you make of that whole game, Barney?
It was a good game. I mean, South Africa are terrible. I have some advice for them. Stop playing the ball out from the back. You're not good enough. Stop doing it. There's no point. You don't have to do it. Don't do it. But I thought the refereeing thing... Oh, God, I'm talking about refereeing instantly.
Already,
but that's the point. Like, there's going to be a problem with micro-refereeing in this tournament. We had a TV close-up of the VAR room on the feed beforehand, and they kind of stood to attention. I mean, nobody wants it. There are 2 kinds of people who watch football: people who actually care about the rules and want them to be enforced and think that's what the game is. It's about the enforcement of rules, and people who just don't care. And I'm one of the latter, and we have given the game to the former, and those people are really enjoying it. But I think we need a light touch with this. I thought 2 of those red cards were really soft. Particularly the violent conduct one. I agree with the utterly baffled expression of the player concerned. It was a ridiculous call, in my opinion, and I was sad to see it.
You're frowning, Barry.
Well, I kind of agree with Barney, but he seems to be suggesting we just don't bother having laws of football. Just throw a ball in and see what happens, which would be great.
Well, I'm not actually suggesting we don't have laws.
Okay.
But the laws exist for a reason. They exist to make the game work, not the other way around. Like, the laws they're just there to stop the whole thing essentially to stop it descending into a formless mess. And as long as it's not doing that, these aren't like strict liability, actual injustices that need to be corrected.
Yeah. I could see why they would like, he does move his hand down. I don't know what you think, Wilson, the violent conduct one. He does sort of go in for an L. He doesn't really connect that much.
I think he slaps him around the back of the head. I think it's an obvious red card. Okay. I think Barney's watched the Premier League where you can do that kind of thing these days. I don't think he should be allowed to. He's slapped him, so it's a red card.
I'd probably just have a slightly more robust, more muscular take than you on what the game is. I mean, if that to you is a shocking incident, then I respect how you feel. I don't want to make you feel unsafe. And yeah, we must stop people doing that kind of thing.
Wilson, we've talked a lot about the US as host. We haven't really talked a lot about Mexico as hosts. How has it been in Mexico? Is there the World Cup fever? What's the vibe? I'd heard from other people in Mexico sort of, real fans are being priced out of those games as well, despite the Azteca being full.
Yes, I mean, that, to be honest, is difficult for outsiders to judge, but it was notable. I tried to get the media shuttle today, which is a daft idea. FIFA media shuttles don't work. I had to abandon it about half an hour from the ground and walk. And that walk, it was really notable how many box fresh Mexico shirts there were. I would say they were pretty wealthy Mexicans going. I'm not equipped to sort of.
You didn't check the profession
they were the accents of wealthy
fan.
people,
yes.
But the sense was very much this was a wealthy group of fans. But it was lively enough, and certainly in the streets has been very lively. All that side of things, I think, is pretty good. The problem is nothing works. It's complete chaos. I don't know if that's Mexico, I don't know if that's FIFA, but it's been shambolic.
In what sense?
The traffic is terrible in Mexico City, which I think has partly been worsened by these demonstrations.
Sorry, Jonathan, you've mentioned these demonstrations. What are the demonstrations about?
A huge number of things. So there's the main one was a teacher's strike, which I think has now been at least partially resolved, largely over pay. There's also retired judges. I didn't really understand what that was about, but and other groups as well. The one that seems to me actually most disturbing is I think I might say 134,400 disappeared people, and there's a lot of roundabouts around where I am, in sort of just north of the centre, have got photographs of people who've disappeared. Which, if I understand it correctly, they've sort of been forced to work for the cartels. And the families of those people feel that not enough has been done to try and rescue them or to work out what's going on. So there was a specific campaign around this game of putting the faces of disappeared people on what looked like panini stickers. So there's a whole load of those outside the ground as well. So there's a whole load of different demonstrations all sort of merging into one. The thing with the disappeared seems horrendous. The other stuff, again, I don't feel that I've got any kind of handle on how justified they are. What I do know is that they've made the traffic much worse. But the traffic is part of it. You can sort of handle that. But it's from a journalistic point of view, the Wi-Fi just hasn't worked at all.
Here we go. That's what we're waiting for. Bingo. Ding.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it hasn't worked at all. You just can't do your job. I mean, it's the worst. This is the worst I've known Wi-Fi at a major tournament since South Africa 2013. And that for the World Cup, that's outrageous. The stalls to buy water and food, like incredibly expensive, huge queues, just not enough people there, not well enough organised. The whole thing is just shambolic. It's hard to express how disorganised it is. It's very hard to conceive this is a FIFA tournament.
Can I, Wilson, before we let you go to sleep? Can I take you to one of your favourite and a happier place, the opening ceremony, and your music reviews of both Andrea Bocelli with Ajayi and Shakira with Burna Boy?
Well, yeah, I've seen Burna Boy before, of course, and I thought he lived up to expectations. Shakira, I have to say, I didn't actually notice until she'd gone. Was she on with Burna Boy at the same time?
Yes, they came on, yes.
There was just a lot of costumes going on. It was quite confusing. Bocelli, I don't understand Bocelli. I think his voice is actually quite thin and reedy for somebody at that level. I don't think he's fit to lace Pavarotti's boots. And who was the other person?
It was Ajayi, a South Korean singer.
Oh, was she the woman who was singing with Bocelli?
Yes, she was blue dress.
Oh, she seemed pretty good to me, actually. Yeah. I'm pro her, yes.
Big man, little woman partnership that seemed to work quite well. Very different styles. Shakira, this is Roger Sherman writing, Shakira has more World Cup appearances than Gerard Piqué now. 4-3. It's an interesting stat. A full complement with you in part 2, where we'll look at South Korea's win over Czechia, and we'll do some England and some USMNT as well. Welcome to part 2 of the Guardian Football Weekly. We've got some live shows, Barry, in September over in that there Northern Hemisphere.
Okay.
Vicar Street on the 1st of September in Dublin. Are you big in Ireland?
I'm 18 stone nearly, Max. I'm big everywhere.
Okay, good. You were going to start doing a jog up the incredible hill near our hotel,
Yeah.
but you have an ankle issue.
We have an incredible hill up to our hotel, which is like Alpe d'Huez insofar as it's really steep, and then right near the top it ramps up,
Yeah.
and then it ramps up again. And it's so steep at the top, there's actually a handrail to help you drag yourself up. So I was hoping to start running a Project Kate Bush,
Yeah.
running up that hill. And now I've got some weird Achilles issue.
Not 100% fit.
I keep getting shooting pains up my right heel, and I'm slightly concerned. I don't want
To die
to
in
be
LA.
ruled out of the World Cup with a ruptured Achilles.
Can we get someone from the long list if Barry... Now you've made an appearance in the tournament, maybe you can't. Anyway, Vicar Street on the 1st of September. The Soho Theatre, Walthamstow on the 8th of September. The show in New York is sold out, I'm afraid. So if you want to be as good as the people of New York, if you're in London or Dublin or near enough, don't let us down. TheGuardian.com/Football Weekly Live for your tickets. So South Korea 2, Czechia 1 in the other game. 5,000 feet above sea level. Jeff, what did you make of this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a game where this felt like one of those pivotal clashes that not just was going to be who else is going to be in control of Group A along with Mexico, but who is maybe going to be better positioned where if other results don't go their way, they're one of the more favorable third-place teams, just one of those groups that seems to have three teams that could feasibly advance through. With Son Heung-min, you saw a lot of kind of him pulling back from shooting in a way that maybe you're not used to with him in a major game of this magnitude, where you would see him looking to dish off even when he had advanced into the box or when he did have seemingly a pretty clear shot. There were a couple of times just before he had exited around the 69th minute where he was just looking over his shoulder and just kind of doffing it off rather than just trying to put one on frame and see where it went. But that's been generally his league form since he came over to MLS. He is not the focal point of the attack. It's a Gabonese winger, Denis Bouanga. And I think that instinct still was very much at play for him. But a credible comeback and be able to complete it with him off the field, I think actually bodes pretty well for them in this tournament.
We all ate it together, Barney, with the bolognese. You described the South Korean equaliser as footballing justice.
Well, I know why you've mentioned the bolognese.
Tell me.
Because it was really good and because you made it.
Very kind of you.
You're
only as good as your last dinner.
Well, in that case, you're very tasty with a distinct umami-ness to you.
Oh, thanks. So this is the first time you flirted with me, Barney. Maybe it's going to be in the same room.
Well, if you feed me, I'm anyone.
Okay, right. Okay, good to know.
I thought this was... It didn't feel like a pivotal game to me, I have to say. It felt like a slow burn. I'm sure it's pivotal in the group. Second half was good. I really enjoyed the goal direct from the long throw.
Yeah,
I thought
get it
that
in the
was
mixer.
Real. That's football, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree with you.
It was an incredible long throw because it was very flat, and they have been practicing them, and it's incredibly hard to defend. And there was something exhilarating about that moment, I thought, and it made me think about the Premier League season and how much I enjoyed it. I know you all, Barry, particularly enjoyed that too. But I the right team won. South Korea. They will improve, and they are a really good team. They have some real craft in that team, and I think that they could be dangerous team to play because they will just get better. And Czechs are a very aggressive physical team, and they tried to press when they could, although that was difficult, despite the hydration breaks, which should presumably help that kind of thing. I'm a bit worried about the hydration break.
What's your fear?
How hydrated do you need to be? I mean, can you be too hydrated? I saw players not drinking during the hydration breaks. How do you explain that?
I can't explain that.
It's hard.
You've got me, Your Honour.
Yeah, hard to explain.
What were they like in the stadium, actually, Wilson, the hydration breaks? Did they spoil it?
It wasn't hot in Mexico City. It was like 23 degrees. It was quite humid, but just suddenly this sort of 3-minute gap in the middle of each half. And they don't even stop the clock. So, the clock's always going to run to 48 minutes, which is just annoying. So, I mean, when it is really hot, I accept the need for them, but 23 degrees isn't really hot. I don't think there's any need for it, and it does just break up the flow of the game.
Well, I was just going to say that I think those breaks could be here to stay, and that football will possibly end up being a game of 4 quarters.
Because of all the adverts we saw in the US coverage?
Well, we saw adverts in the US coverage. There were no adverts in the ITV coverage. There were adverts in the Irish RTE coverage, I believe. So I presume it's up to individual broadcasters whether they take advertising money or not. I know RT are skint, so they will. It's no surprise that they showed ads. But I think once they realise how much money there is to be made from these advert breaks, they will be here to stay.
That's a real shame, isn't it? There's a real shame. I hate the hydration break, which is not a hydration break. It's an advert break. One of the great paradoxes of football is that it's the world's most popular form of entertainment, and yet it is long and slow, and it can drag. Nothing. I love the bathos of the ridiculous wrestling style countdown. 10-1 with some sort of deeply annoying man bellowing over and then we're going to play around at the back for a bit. Like nothing happens. It's football. You can't
like the
manage
intense
it in that way.
walkouts. The intense walkouts with the
walkouts
music.
are ridiculous. They started those at the Club World Cup last year. I hate all that stuff.
Yeah.
I like the fact that actually this game refuses to bend to you. It is difficult and hard and long, and it makes you concentrate. And people obviously like it. It's incredibly successful. Why do we need to do this other than more revenue? But there is already a lot of revenue. Revenue is not the issue. We do not need more revenue.
Are you saying FIFA aren't making enough
well,
money?
it all goes back to the grassroots.
Well, of course it
Every
does,
single
yes.
penny is accounted
we'll
for.
get to that.
Don't think we've given Hwang In-beom enough credit for his brilliant goal.
Oh, yeah. Who doesn't love a
Superb
slow
goal.
finish?
Master of suspense.
Yeah, ball comes into him, he chops inside, takes out the goalkeeper and the defender with one chop, and then scoops it towards the far corner. We were watching. Is it going in? Is it not? Is it going to go wide of the far post? Is it not? And it eventually made its way over the line, and a sensational goal, I thought.
Yeah, and actually, just from those two games, Wilson, so much has been said of England will play Mexico in the Azteca in the last 16, but I didn't think Mexico looked that good, or maybe they didn't have to look that good. I thought they looked quite open at times, just South Africa couldn't do anything. I'd be more fearful of South Korea. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, Barry, but of South Korea than Mexico.
Yes. I mean, I think the odd thing was that at least 3 of the 4 teams did not play in the way I expected them to play today. That South Africa, I thought, would be much more proactive. And I was expecting that Czechia against South Korea game to be really a bad watch. And actually, even in the first half, I thought it was sort of quite open and engaging. And then second half, it was really good game. They were both better going forward than I expected. I thought South Korea, the way they got in behind the fullbacks, were really impressive. And as Barry says, Hwang, I think, was really good. Lee was really good. I think they are. I mean, everything I'd heard is that this is a really bad South Korea side. Well, they didn't look bad there at all.
Mexico were as good as they needed to be today, and they were vastly superior to South Africa. So we don't know how good they are. But Jeff can correct me if I'm wrong. They don't lose very often at the Azteca,
Not
do
at
they?
the Azteca, no.
Like something like 4 out of 60 they've lost.
Yeah, I was going to say that seems low, if anything. Like it truly has been such an advantage for them, where you favor them so long as the tournament stays in Mexico, so long as they're able to play those games. But once they get to something that I suppose you would call more of a neutral site, that's where it gets a bit trickier for them.
And you can get ahead of yourself all you want, Max, but I have filed away the laughter, the gales of laughter that greeted my prediction that England would lose at the Azteca.
I don't think I laughed at that moment.
Well, everyone else did.
We have the tapes.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem a laughable suggestion. That's a really tough game.
we'll see.
Tomorrow, Canada, Bosnia, Herzegovina, and USA, Paraguay. Jeff, you've followed the USMNT very closely. What shape are they in? How do you see this one going?
Yeah, I mean, look, they've all really bought into sort of the cult of Pochettino, right? Like, there's this quiet confidence kind of coming off of them. They're speaking of, this is the moment, we trust our preparation. And that's all well and good, but at the end of the day, it still is the same players, isn't it? And you look and you say, this is not arguably the thinnest the American goalkeeper pool has ever been. So that is not going to be the same strength that maybe you would remember when you look at the 90s and the aughts.
Are they the thinnest the US
How
goalkeepers
thin
have
is
ever
They're
been?
pretty
Because
wiry,
if you
honestly.
think about
Both
Brad,
of them
Brad
are pretty
Friedel
lanky.
and Tim Howard both had a bit of bulk about
That's
them,
true,
didn't they?
yeah.
Yeah, they
Casey
did.
Keller was quite
Tony
thin.
Miola was
Tony
quite
Miola,
stocky.
yeah, he was a
Absolutely.
unit.
And
Husky
now
boy.
they're little waifs, are they?
Yeah, no, it's something that's interesting. Usually the Americans, there's a big boy on the team,
Okay.
right? There's at least one who is going to be either up front or in the back and dependably going to be able to muss off. There isn't really a big boy on this squad, right? But there's also thinness at center back in general. Maybe those are correlating. There's a very thin core of midfielders.
I'm
on
really
this.
confused. Are we talking here
Sizable big
about
boys.
Literal thinness?
Tim Ream's a big lad, isn't he?
Weston McKennie, he's kind of chunky, isn't he?
he's slimmed up a little bit.
Okay.
I think maybe he has finally adopted the Italian diet, possibly. But with this group, I think that you're looking and you're saying, how is this thing going to funnel to Flair and Balogun? Ultimately, they're really struggling to find him up the central channel. They're trying to work often up the left from Tim Ream, sending it over to Anthony Robinson and up to Christian Pulisic, and then we'll see where his decisions take them. So I think that they're feeling really good going into the Paraguay game, and they want to avoid the start that they had in 2022 when they gave up a late penalty to Wales and then made the group much more difficult for them, both on calculus and on form. So determined to put their best foot forward, but then again, I suppose every team in the tournament is.
You're going as well, Barney?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think because I just really want to be in the stadium and watch some football. I mean, there is a rumor that Donald Trump might be there, but that's come via the Paraguayan side.
Right.
But I don't think you can. He's very capricious. Who knows? And he got quite a lot going on, and he hasn't been to California for about 5 years, and he got booed at a basketball game. So he's probably very upset about that. But, I mean, it'd be interesting if he is there. It will make getting in the stadium incredibly difficult, and everything will be delayed and impossible. But I'm really looking forward to it. I went to the stadium today, where there was a 3-hour queue to get your accreditation. The queue was 1 kilometre long, which was not great. But it's going to be great. The stadium is fantastic. It looks fantastic. It's certainly got a lot of parking. Really impressive amount of concrete.
Actually, one thing about being in America is I always forget about valet parking, which looks like the most terrifying job in the whole of the world. Isn't it? These cars are all enormous, and you're just handing your keys. I just never want to be handed some keys to park someone else's car.
Sid has an enormous car.
Who does?
Sid Lowe.
Does he?
Yeah.
What's Sid driving?
Well, he's rented a car, and it's
over here.
Yeah, it's like a sort of Escalade or something. One of those things, kind of like he's in Baltimore shooting people out of the passenger side window or something. I mean, it's
a departure for Sid.
Hugely impressive.
Oh right.
Yeah.
You mentioned basketball there, Barney. I watched a basketball game last night.
Yeah.
And the New York Knicks are playing San Antonio Spurs in
the grand final.
The playoff finals or whatever, and it was unbelievable that the Antonio Spurs are even more Spursy than Tottenham Hotspur.
You're right. But
they blew a 30-point lead in the final quarter.
An unbelievable game. But Jeff, I've been asked, on the radio, is there World Cup fever here? And I wonder if because that is going on. Yeah. And that is the first. When I landed, and I just went for a quiet pint, and I couldn't get into any bar because this game. That was the second game, I think, and this was the third or something. But have you sensed? Is that impacting on World Cup fever?
It is, and I think that generally there will be, for the casual sports fan in the United States, there will be sort of a migration moment once that series wraps up. But I think that also there's just so much entertainment going on, whether it is the sport or otherwise, where the attention span does need it to be front and center in order for generally the audience to come toward it. There isn't going to be that hype and excitement necessarily in early May because the domestic season doesn't end in the middle of May, right? And so you don't have that natural sort of passage where you're thinking and switching from club to international in the same way. So in time, I would imagine that especially if the United States gets off to a good start, there will be plenty of enthusiasm. And if they don't, maybe there will be a different kind of schadenfreude involved.
I think you make a really good point about what football means in this country. People don't often realize when you're not here, the attention economy in America is just constant. There is so much entertainment. There's so much content. Like this whole nation is built on just generating entertainment and noise. You're not. People wonder why they don't walk out of an airport and see kind of bunting and World Cup stuff everywhere. It's because there's a billion things like Siegfried and Roy are being eaten by a tiger tomorrow. Everything's going on. Elvis has been discovered again. There's constant sport, and football has to fit into those gaps, and that's just how it is. It's not a culture in the same way it is where we are, where it's the constant noise.
Yeah, and you've certainly caught the content bug while you've been here, haven't you?
I mean,
you've made a lot of content. You're yet to publish it.
Well, everything has always been content for me, but I'm just really glad to see that people are catching up on that. And so I think Jonathan's falling asleep.
I think he might have died. He might have died. Oh, there he is. I'll ask you a question, Wilson, about England. They beat Costa Rica 3-0, which was sort of as you expect. It was fine. I don't know what you make of England at the moment and how you sense their tournament may go.
Well, it was impossible to watch the Costa Rica game here. I've tried to follow it as best I could. It seems like they played quite well. My thoughts haven't particularly changed since a week ago when they left. I think the squad is a good squad. I'm glad that Tuchel has been brave enough to leave out some big names. I think it's quite hard to win a World Cup from a late group.
Right.
I think you're better off having your games more spread out. But yeah, I think the group's actually a bit harder than people give it credit for.
Yeah.
I don't think Panama are anywhere near as bad as they looked last time England played them. I think this Ghana side are very erratic, very hit and miss, but on their day they can be very good. And Croatia are Croatia.
Yeah, but they must be tired. I won't do that.
Well, I know I am.
Yeah. You're channeling your inner Luka
I'd
Modric.
be terrible in that Croatian midfield.
You would.
No, I agree. I think it's a good squad. I don't think the problem is that they do have the shortest sort of time span of everything to get to the final, I think, of any team here. But I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is 2 overseas semi-finals ever in World Cups, and what are they? 8th, probably the 8th best team here, something like that.
Scotland midfielder Scott McTominay was not on the team bus after he missed Thursday's training session because of an upset stomach, and he had to travel on his own. Poor Scott's in solitary because he has the runs, but I think he's all right.
Did they send him in one of those, what is it, Waymo driverless cars that I keep seeing that freak me out completely?
The ones that freak me out are the little delivery sort of dogs,
Robots,
the little robot delivery things. They're terrible.
They can't handle zebra crossings very well, as far as I can tell.
Have you ordered anything with one of those?
No, I'm yet to order from a robot.
I have to say, you two have really changed. California's changed you.
Is that right?
Yeah.
We've done a lot of content.
Well, you referred earlier to your hotel, and I was expecting something a bit more sitcom-y, like a sort of all the fun, like Morecambe and Wise are are in bed together, that kind of thing. Like, I've just been there, and it's basically like Patrick Bateman's flat in American Psycho. It's all
We haven't
of
had a lot of
steel
time
and
to deck it out yet.
glass
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like hard surfaces, and it's sad,
Yeah.
but I suppose people change.
Yeah.
And there could well be a murder in it.
We'll get to that. All right, that'll do for part 2. Part 3, we'll do all the stuff off the pitch. Welcome to part 3 of the Guardian Football Weekly. So look, lots of stories of players, officials and staff being denied entry to the US. The most high profile was the referee Omar Artan, Somalian referee denied entry. Somalia is on the US travel ban list. He became a FIFA referee in 2018, was at AFCON in 2023. 2025 was named African Men's Referee of the Year. He said in an interview with the New York Times, I had the right papers and everything, I had the right visa. Adding he'd also showed documentation from FIFA as well as photographs of his career over a decade as a ref. A Trump administration source said this individual was seeking admission to the United States upon further inspection by the Custom and Border Protection. Derogatory information, including association with suspected members of terror organizations, was discovered, making the traveller ineligible for admission to the US under the Immigration and Nationality Act. President Trump's administration will not allow any security threat to enter our country, full stop. Around the same time, Gianni was on Instagram posting with the streamer iShow Speed. And in his press conference, Gianni said, it's unfortunate what happened to the referee from Somalia. We don't control everything. We try, we will discuss, we will speak, we will see. Sometimes it's good to chill, relax. We work on everything. We try to solve everything. Sometimes to immediately start screaming and shouting has the opposite effect of finding a solution. Barney, you've written about this.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know me. You know I'm chilled. I mean, you when you think about the idea of being chilled, you probably think about me.
Obviously.
You probably think about me a lot in between thinking about. But that's another. I mean, this is just disgusting. I mean, it's repulsive. Like, it's grandstanding. It's performative. Obviously, this referee is not a security threat to the United States. Obviously. And how it's been allowed to get this far, I would like to know a bit more about, because it's absurd that somebody gets this far and is then turned away. But this is, it's Trump speaking to his base. There are plenty of people who don't think this is disgusting and think it's great and think this is what should be happening. It's really, really sad that the land of the free and a place that prides itself on having basic freedoms enshrined in its constitution is the only place in the world that is turning people away like this from these football tournaments, while the loathsome, probably I shouldn't say loathsome, but what other word are you supposed to use? Sort of court goblin tells us that football unites the world. It's the level of double speak and triple speak and quadruple speak is laughable. If Gianni Infantino was an incredible incredibly complete and fully realised satirical construct, that would make more sense than the person he actually is. It's actually bizarre that he isn't that, and that this is a real person.
But he has so much power, right? We all look at this and think this looks embarrassing for Infantino. It is embarrassing for Infantino, but I don't know if he thinks that.
No, he doesn't care. But you're right, he has far too much power. FIFA has a ridiculous governance problem in that no other organisation has that level of executive power. It's ridiculous when you look at the budget of that institution, that essentially one person and his coterie decides where those resources go over this very, very long period of time, and you can gerrymander your own re-election very easily. You essentially promise people more money. It's a totally dysfunctional organisation with no regulation internally, and a random Swiss lawyer who never actually expected to be in this position, who looks startled to be in it, but has found that he really does quite enjoy it, is breaking his own statutes by cozying up to a single, quite divisive political movement within that country. And there is effectively all we can do is stand and watch.
UEFA posting referee announced for 2026 Super Cup. Pleased to share that Somali referee Omar Arten will officiate the highly anticipated match between PSG and Aston Villa in Salzburg, which is a tremendous appointment, you would say. I just wonder, we talked to Alex Adnos when we were over in at South by Southwest in Austin a couple of months ago about, being an American football fan and having that dilemma of desperately wanting this to go well and sort of being desperately sad that this shit is happening at the same time.
Yeah, and look, it's one with the other, right? Like, you can't really avoid that. But at the same point, I don't think many people's favorite parts of the World Cup in the kind of the bowels of their hearts are necessarily the ramp up and the pre-tournament speech from the president and all of the litigation that comes with it. I think that it's going to be that sort of like fierce communal joy is going to be ultimately the thing that actually is going to be able to get things through, and that's where you do need the games to provide a little bit of sugar with the medicine. But it certainly has been a lot of medicine, hasn't it? And it certainly has been great to see him get that hero's welcome of sorts when he does return to Somalia, right, and be able to have that sort of community that I think historically one would expect when they come to work a World Cup. But at least able to get on the other end, and hopefully this is something that I mean, to be fair, I don't really know where the tournament's reputation recovers from on this one, right?
It's funny. I've a lot of people in America that have been apologising, to the rest of the world and saying we are sorry about this. And I feel like saying stuff happens, but it's actually quite sweet and does give me a feeling of hope that people communicate like that there's a kind of sense that the executive tier in this country does not actually, despite being a democracy and being an elected president, does not actually represent the attitudes of the majority of the country. And that I find quite reassuring.
The Iranian national team experienced long delays having their visas granted. In the case of several of their staff, denied altogether. The team captain, Haj Safi, said, "Why so late? In the last year, we experienced 2 imposed wars in our country. A US administration official did not directly address the matter of those whose visas were refused, saying only, we will not allow the Iranian team to abuse this system to sneak terrorists into the United States under false pretenses," which is an insane thing to say. And there is a chance the USA and Iran will meet in the round of 32. Alex has written a really good piece about Iran in Tijuana and what the people in Tijuana, because they only had 2 weeks to sort of realise that they were hosting a side. And it's also worth pointing out that there's a lot of Iranian fans in the US, in Los Angeles especially, who are not fans of the regime in Iran, right? This is quite a multifaceted situation. I don't know, Wilson, if you have any sort of thoughts on Infantino and what he said at that press conference?
It's just outrageous. I mean, this is the first press conference he's given in 3 years. And from the very start, he was filibustering. He hadn't taken a question from a US-based journalist until the very last question, and he asked that one because a journalist in the room messaged Brian Swanson, the press officer, say, "You have not asked a journalist representing one of the host media." Very obviously, the questions were going to people who were not hostile to Infantino. So this is no accountability, and it's I don't know. I do wonder whether what we've seen in the last few weeks, whether the disgust that provokes cuts through. It's obviously not as serious as several thousand migrant worker deaths in Qatar, but in some ways it's sort of more immediate. In the same way that Partygate cut through more than other Boris Johnson scandals, because it sort of touched something that was very personal to people, that they'd had to follow these regulations, and there's people who've imposed them not following them. And so the idea of this referee being turned away, and you see people. I mean, even FIFA's press people say, "Oh, you know, are we supposed to say that the US are supposed to put their laws on hold for duration of the tournament?" That's literally what you asked other hosts to do. Yes, you are meant to do that. And if the host is not prepared to do that, they shouldn't be bidding to host a tournament. But I guess one of the problems is with a 48-team tournament, you can't really make any credible threat to move it. That even in 2017, when Infantino was having a discussion with Putin, which led to a match ticket guaranteeing you a visa for Russia, it was just about plausible in a 32-team tournament that at the last minute, say England and Germany could have stepped in, done half the games each. With a 48-team tournament, you just can't do that. And that gives the host more power. And I think the precedent this sets, I don't think it's going to be a problem for Spain and Portugal in 4 years. It might be a problem for Morocco in 4 years. But looking ahead to Saudi Arabia beyond that, I think it's really worrying.
Just on tickets, there were empty seats in that second game.
Quite a lot.
And, I mean,
there was empty seats in the first game.
Were there?
Yeah, I mean, not huge numbers, but I'd say a good 2,000 or 3,000.
I suppose lucky for Gianni that the seats were red, and so if you weren't really concentrating, it looked like lots more South Korean fans.
Yeah.
But he sort of talked about ticket prices as well, and talked about, oh, well, Mamdani's done so well on ticket prices because he gave some cheap ones, and I gave loads of cheap ones, and no one said thank you to me, you know, which was sort of Trumpian in the way it sounded.
Yeah, well, he's a Trumpian guy. He's up to Trump. We know that. He seems to be in awe of him. I think the problem with Trump and Infantino is neither of them seem to have any sense of shame or embarrassment. And so there's not much you can do to or say that will have any impact on them, because they'll just secretly think you're stupid. Ticket prices are outrageous, and we've seen evidence already, empty seats both games. That's going to be a recurring theme, I would imagine. And even some people who have tickets aren't being allowed into the country. The day I left to come over here, I heard a Scottish fella on TalkSport. Yeah, his had been revoked, and he was given no explanation as to why it had been revoked. And he was due to travel on Thursday. He said he didn't have a criminal record, but the US Embassy had told him that until he got one of those police certificates that says you don't have a criminal record, he would not be allowed to travel. And because
those take 28 days, don't they?
Yeah, I think you probably get them rushed, but 3 days, I'd say, will be pushing it. And he'd spent over 10 grand.
Yeah.
When I came in the country, I was questioned. The only thing they said to me was, "Can tell me about your trip to Turkey?"
Oh, what happened in Turkey?
Well, I couldn't even. And and I said, "Well, Man City. You know that was the Champions League final in Istanbul. Was it in Istanbul? Have I got that wrong? Was that the wrong game?
I can't remember.
No, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I said it was really tight, but." You know, in the end,
Rodri scored.
Rodri, you know, the quality really made the difference, and that was really. And he sort of nodded, and that seemed to be fine. And I was let into the country.
He said Pep just didn't overthink it that night.
Yeah. I mean, if you overthink it enough times, you're eventually gonna hit one on the head, aren't you?
Well, look, we'll cover off the field issues as much as on the field ones as well. And we know lots of things are happening, in the Premier League, but we'll worry about that.
Can I just ask, actually, now that this is an American podcast, are we all going to sit here for 3 hours? And at some point,
a Rogan
we'll
one.
be smoking cigars and talking about
weed
gummies and things.
We'll be saying that butter is poisoning everyone's mind.
It just goes on forever. And loads of young men are radicalised.
Or there'll be some light music and I'll say, this is WKR ZYC. And I'll start talking about a crime that happened in Minneapolis 15 years ago. Tombo says, in a preview pod, Barry characterised himself as easygoing, but then followed up with some surprisingly strident views vis-a-vis laundry. How is this panning out, and can we get a regular update on the issue? Barry, are you enjoying living with me?
Living with you is fine, but any time I raise any minor issues, you treated it as if I've thrown some sort of tantrum.
Right.
But I think we're
What are
getting
the-
on
I'm
okay.
so sorry, what minor
Hang on, that
issues?
doesn't sound okay at all. That
No.
sounds really terrible.
Yeah. What
Um,
tantrums have I had?
Well, you accused me of being far more upset about you waking me up by banging a spoon against a bowl than I was.
Okay.
You ate an apple in my presence
I did,
today.
yes.
I don't ever want that to happen
Okay.
again.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God,
yeah.
this is really. Hang on, was he banging a spoon against a bowl right next to your head?
No.
I had a radio show at 5 a.m., so at 4 I got up and ate some yogurt.
So you're in the other room, just eating some yogurt.
Yeah. I
Thin
was,
walls.
Thin walls.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Anything else, Barry?
No, pretty. I mean, you're pulling your weight. You've made a meal.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I've made a meal. I've made a table.
You've made a table.
Yeah. I've done the
Well,
rubbish.
you didn't make a table. You took a table out of a box.
Fine. I took yours out of a box and erected it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
have you
no,
done?
it's been fine, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Have you done any laundry yet?
no.
I've done
So,
two loads.
Max has done two
Barry
loads of
won't.
laundry.
Barry won't do any laundry. So, the Rio Olympics.
Yeah.
We were there for sort of 22 days, I think. This is a really sweet story.
Okay.
It's really
Great.
it's lovable.
Okay, nice.
It's not a disgusting laundry story. Barry brought 22 T-shirts with him, one for each day, so he didn't have to do any laundry, which I thought was so sweet. It's like when the kid goes and stays at their granny and they've got like 3 pairs of. It's like your gloves are on a string. His gloves were on a string
Yeah, I know.
down the back of his
Yeah, I
T-shirt.
was wearing gloves at the Copacabana in July.
I remember you explained, well, 22 T-shirts, no problem. I thought that was very sweet, and I hope you've now got 40 T-shirts or whatever.
I had not too far off 40 T-shirts, but my luggage was too heavy.
He had the
so
long
I-
list, and then he had to cut it down to 26, and there was a mad phone-in about the 26th
What's the
T-shirt.
But
Jed
like,
Spence
Max
of your
and I have
T-shirt.
been here for 3 days, and he's already done 2 loads
I'm
of
in the
laundry.
gym a lot.
How is that possible?
I'm in the gym a lot because I haven't been in a gym for a year and a half, and now I have so much time. Mrs. Rushden, I don't believe listens to Football Weekly. So just to check. This is a different podcast. I'd say I don't have the time. Look, 3 days in, 40 to go. We're all still alive. You can see all the behind-the-scenes action on Instagram, TikTok, and TikTok, Reddit, Blue Sky, and we are posting more than we normally do because everything is content. So yeah, follow all of us. Follow the Guardian Football Weekly, and that'll do for today. Thank you, Wilson. You may go to bed.
Again, I have no idea what you said.
Okay, fine. That's right. Bye. Jeff, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Come again. Cheers, Barney.
Cheers, thanks.
Cheers,
everyone.
Baz.
Thank you.
Football Weekly is produced by Rory Simon. Our executive producer is Joel Grove. Back tomorrow.